Okay, now let's see how MATLAB works. This is my user interface with the MATLAB, as you see. Uh, so on the top of my MATLAB user interface, I have the file. So there is new script and other buttons in order to open new objects. So like pure function, script, and so forth. And I have different options. We will see in time. I have plots menu here. So in order to plot something, and applications. On the right hand side, left hand side of my screen, as you see under the pointer, there is a directory. This directory is the directory of MATLAB. Now at the moment it is under use and MATLAB, and then I have a command line window here and a double arrow. Okay, so let's begin by doing simple operations. So basically MATLAB is a very advanced calculator, let's say. So 2 plus 5.1, I want to calculate this value, and then I press enter. It gives me 7.1, and now on the left hand side there is a new window has just opened, new window is opened actually. So I see the result. Everything is kept in the memory. So okay, so this is how I type an expression. Now assign a variable. Let's say that a is 2. Now I see that 2 is assigned to variable a. Now, and let's say that b is equal to 3.4. Now b is assigned, as you see in the workspace. Now let's sum a and b. Okay, the result is 5.4. Now I can assign this value to a new variable, let's say x. Then x is equal to a plus b. Now x is assigned with the result of summation of a and b, and the result is 5.4, as you see. Okay, now I want to do an operation, and let's say that y is equal to x multiplied by b. Now I will put a semicolon. Now this semicolon will result in like this. Let me press enter. Okay, and you see there is no result. This is because of the semicolon here, but actually the value of the y is calculated. It is 18.36, as you see on the workspace, but it's not shown. Now let me calculate x plus y. It is 23.76. Now one thing that you can see as you do operations, I haven't defined any variable. So whether the variable is a string or an integer or a complex number. Now whatever you give, MATLAB automatically assumes that it's a double precision, so it's a 8-byte variable. In fact, we will see what it means in the forthcoming lessons what the double precision means. But certainly I can assign complex numbers. Let's say C1, and let's assume that C1 is equal to x plus I multiplied by y. Now here I is the complex number. It is the square root of -1. Okay, and when I press enter, you see that I form the complex number 5.4 plus 18.36i. Now let me take the square of it. C1, square of the C1. Then I press enter, and here it comes. Now Matlab calculated the value C1, square of the C1, and it's again a complex number. And please pay attention, I haven't defined the type of the variable. It automatically understood. Let me say clear all. Now I will clear the whole memory, all the variables. You see, clear all command clear all the variables in the memory, and as you see in my workspace, there is no value at the moment. Okay, now this is the first step, our first step in Matlab. Now let's see how we deal with the script. Now as I said before, Matlab is not a programming language. It's a mathematical package. So what we do is we use some functions, or we define functions in order to make a calculation, in order to do a certain task. So everything in Matlab is function or functions of function. Therefore, any script in Matlab which has an extension of m, we will see it, must begin with the function command. Okay, so this is our first command in Matlab. Then the name of the function, MECH310 script. Now I give the name of the function. Now I can define whatever I want. Let's define my first variable. A is equal to 4. I don't want to see it on my screen. Or let's see it on the screen. That's maybe better. Now let me save this script first. Now I go to the save. I press on the save as. I will save it to a directory in which I'm going to work. It is sorry. Okay, now let's see. As you see here, the file name is automatically given with the name of the function. In fact, the name of the file can be different than the name of the function. So it's not a problem. So basically you call the function, so not you call that script with the name of the function, not with the name of the file. Matlab automatically finds it. And let me say that save. Now it's saved. Okay, now I have my script name here, and now the top of the menu has changed. Here I have the breakpoints. let me press on the button. Clear all breakpoints, set clear, enable, disable, set conditions, and so forth. This is these are the tools that I use for debugging when in case of a problem. Then I have a run button, run and advance, run and time. So this is to see the computation time of the script. So the run time of the script. So how much time does it take to run that script. So that is the thing. Now let me press on the run button. Okay, now a new window is opened. It asks me whether I want to change the folder or add to the path. Because my script is in a folder, certainly MATLAB is asking me to where to look at for the functions. You can do both change folder or add to path in order to run that script. I prefer to use change folder instead of adding it to the path. So it will only look at the folder that I'm working in. Okay, now on the left hand side I see the files in the folder. As you see, my folder name has changed now, and it runs the script a is equal to 4. Okay, now let me put a semicolon. I don't want to see it on my screen anymore. Let me define another variable b. It is 2.36, and let's say that x is equal to a plus b. Now let's run it. So the result is given here on my command line. It is 6.39. As you see, it's not, there's no in my workspace, because these variables are used when you run the script. So it's not kept in the memory of the MATLAB. We will see in detail. You can take it outside to a file, you can plot it and so forth. There are lots of things that you can do on the variables. But this is how the command line works and script works. Okay, this is the case when I run the MATLAB through the menu. Certainly I can run this script from the command line. What I do is I write the name of the function. Be careful, not the file. Now in this case the name of the file and the name of the script is the same, but I write the name of the function, so I run a function. Okay, and Mathematica gives me this result. Okay, now let's construct a do loop or iteration. Let's make an iteration. Sorry, that is my bad habit, because I have been using a Fortran for a long time, and this is why I say do loop. Actually, it's an iteration. Let's make an iteration. Now, as we see, I is assigned to a complex number, but certainly you can assign a value to it. So if you assign a value to it, let's say that I is equal to 5, I will not be used for complex as square root of -1. So it will be assigned as I is equal to 1. So I prefer not to use I in general in my scripts, but it depends on you. So let's say that let's write a simple calculation. Let's sum up the values of certain range of numbers. Okay, now for the do loop, our command is for, and let's say that index for the iteration. Let's tell that let's take the numbers from ranging from 1 to 15. I don't know. So it begins with 1. It will increase the value of the index 1 at each for each time, and then it will do it until it reaches 15, including the 15, and then I write my command. Sum value is equal to index plus sum value, and now I stop the end. Now here how it works. So in my first iteration, I will go to this line, then it will evaluate this, it will do this operation, and then increase the value of the index one more, and then does it again, continuously does it again. But here the point is I haven't assigned anything for the sum value. Since I want to calculate the summation, it is better to assign a value for the sum value. Since I want to calculate the sum, I assign 0 for the initial step. So it is like this. When it comes to these points, the MATLAB will see that the sum value is assigned 0. So when it runs this command line for the first time, sum value is 0. It will sum 0 with the index, and then we will have the new sum value, and it will go like this. Let me show it. And then I want to get out, take the see the value of the summation. Now let's see how I can do the thing here. That's better maybe. Here I have the sum value. I will tell MATLAB to run the script until this point. Okay, so first let's get the result. Okay, sum value, summation of numbers from 1 to 15 is 120. So this is basically 15 times 16 divided by 2 according to the Gauss rule. And it's correct, so the summation is done. Now let's see how the MATLAB works in this case. I put a breakpoint here. Okay, so you see that it is filled with red, so this means that it is active. In fact, if I bring my pointer on this red circle, it is seen there that the status is enabled. Then I will tell the MATLAB run. Okay, so it makes the operations until sum value, and it stops there. So the sum value has not been calculated yet. There is nothing assigned to it, as you see. So now what you see is the menu at the top of my screen has changed. Now I have new buttons: continue, step, step in, step out. Now I will use the step. So basically I will tell MATLAB to make one more step. We will see in detail how the step in and how the step out works in MATLAB, and then I proceed. Now sum value is calculated, and I see it on the left hand side, you see. Okay. Now I don't see the value for the index, so I make one more step. Now the index is assigned. Now what MATLAB will do is it will sum the value of index with the sum value at line 5. One more progress. Now sum value has changed, and it goes to the end. Now it checks whether index is smaller than 15 or not. If it is smaller, it will continue. It will do this operation again. Now index is 2 and the sum value is 1. As you see, in the workspace window. Now there's another thing what we have seen. Look at the command line. So the command line has changed. There comes a letter K. This means that I'm in debugging mode at the moment. Of course, I can stop debugging at any time by pressing on the quit debugging button. Okay, as you see above the pointer, or I can tell the script or tell the MATLAB to continue. So instead of going step by step, if I press the continue button, it will run until the next breakpoint. So here, let me put another breakpoint. Okay. Now the iterations are completed. As you see, the final index value is 15 here. In the workspace, I can see variables. And the sum value is 120. Then I press continue. Because look at line 7. I didn't put the semicolon here. So some value has to be written on the command line. But I don't see how. This means that the script, the operations in the script haven't completed yet. And then I run the code, and some value is calculated, and all the variables are cleared from the memory of the MATLAB. Okay, so this is how it works. Now you see that my breakpoints are still there. So if I run it, of course the code will stop here. I finished debugging it. Now, so it works. Let me disable the breakpoints. So what you do is you move the pointer on the breakpoint, and you say that disable the breakpoint, or you can clear the breakpoint. Okay, now let me calculate the numbers from 5 to 15. The summation of the numbers from 5 to 15. So I run it. Now as you see, 5 is, so this is the initial index and the final index. So it goes from 5 to 15. Now, what if the final index is smaller than the initial one? That is another question. So let's see whether I can change the values from 5 to 1. It's possible, but in a different way. But let's see now whether it will work in this case. Now 5 is greater than 1. Okay, some value 0. Because the first thing that iteration command does is whether the first index is smaller than the last index or last value. If it is the case, it does the operation. If it is not, it stops there. Now I want to calculate the numbers, the summation of the numbers beginning from 5 to 15, and let me do it in a different way. Again, I will run the index from 1 to 15, but I will sum up only the values beginning from 5. This basically means that index has to be greater than 5. Now, conditional statement. In MATLAB, conditional statement command is if. If index is greater than 4, So we will begin with the 5. Then do this operation. And write and stop. I close the conditional statement. I give a top here, you see. Now this is critical and this is just an experience. Now for the first case, MATLAB does it automatically, but in some cases it may not do it. The topping is quite good. It will tell you under which sequence or which part of the code you are working on. You see, if and end begins on the same column. Therefore, I can easily judge it. This may be a little bit problem if you don't do it. It may be problematic for you to understand at which part you are working on, which part you are working on, when the code is quite large. So this is my structure. Now let me run the code. Okay. You see, it is 110. So the summation of the numbers from 5 to 10 is equal to 110. Okay, this is a very short introduction about MATLAB and how it works. In the forthcoming lessons, we'll see in detail while solving the problems, also the other functions and other tools that's given by to us.